Welcome back, everybody, to Overreaction Monday. We got the end of week 5 here as we are going into Monday now. It has been a great weekend of football with lots of upsets, I would say. When I picked against the spread this week, I did very poorly because I feel like there was a lot of upsets. So we're going to be breaking down a few games, giving our overreactions of the week, and let us know in the comments how wrong we are. Tell us all the I got attacked last week by some Vikings fans about my takes about the Vikings. So come at us. We want to hear it. We're ready to fight you guys about our takes. All right. But we're gonna go ahead and start off the same team we started off with last week. And that's the Jets. And I said last week that I was selling half my stock on this team after their loss last week. This week, I'm selling all of my stock on the New York Jets.
I told you, Reed. I told you, don't pick them in the spread. I told you, abandon the Jets all season long.
Listen. I didn't pick the Jets because I believed in them at that moment. I picked them because I'm just completely biased against the Vikings. I wanted them to lose, all right? That's the only reason. But I didn't know there was going to be the Skull chants in London. Where the hell was that coming from? I guess it kind of makes sense with where Vikings came from and whatever. It's close to that region. So it made sense, but I was not expecting that. I was hoping that this Jets offense would figure something out over this past week. They have not. Aaron Rodgers is not playing well, making either bad decisions or forcing the ball in areas where he shouldn't be forcing the ball into. And he's looking like this guy over here that's right next to Vincent. And Vincent, you got to maybe cover up your eye or something. I don't want you getting any pink eye over there. But this game was just top to bottom terrible from the Jets. They were only in the game, in my opinion, because their defense did start locking up in that second half against the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold and et cetera, once Aaron Jones got hurt, did start slowing down. Hopefully Aaron Jones is okay and he'll be able to come back, but that's something to keep your eye on because Jones is very big for that team, I think. But the Jets, this offense is not doing well. Breece Hall is not the back that we were expecting him to be this year. I don't know if it's just poor offensive line play, poor play calling. It's still the same play caller as last year. I don't really like anything about this Jets team. I don't really think it's capable of being saved. And the savior that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But Vincent, before we get into how we fix this, you already said you hated them, this team. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, man, I think this team is very poorly constructed, in my opinion. You get Aaron Rodgers, he got hurt last year. We know the whole thing, right? But going into this year, all they really did was they drafted a rookie wide receiver. They brought in Mike Williams, and that's about it for the offense. They got Braylon Allen too, who's probably better at this point than Breece Hall, in my opinion. But then again, I just don't know. So this team is so dysfunctional, and it starts with this guy right here. This guy who's booty cheeks that we have on the screen. Aaron Rodgers is just playing horrible. We're so used to Aaron Rodgers being so accurate. He has these off-balance throws, and he makes miraculous plays. Garrett Wilson did a lot better today. So he's adjusting with Aaron Rodgers, but nobody else is adjusting. Again, I still think this is Aaron Rodgers' fault. We've seen, at least in this one game alone, 10 passes that were underthrown, not accurate whatsoever. He's trying to do those off-balance throws again, and it's just behind the wide receiver or totally 5 feet short of them. So in my opinion, this guy needs to get back to the basics. Yes, you're a stud. You were a stud. You're not a stud anymore. Get back to the basics. Make sure your platform is set before you're throwing. And in my opinion, he had enough time to throw all those throws. Nobody was pressuring him to the point where those throws were needed to have an off-platform throw. He missed 5 slants this game, if I'm not mistaken. He missed a lot of dump down passes. I'm pretty sure it was 3 or 4. And it was just bad. I think they need to run the ball a little bit more consistently with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen because they need to get the ball out of this guy's hand. The only guy that should be getting the ball from Aaron Rodgers is going to be their receivers. But even then, they're not as reliable. So Garrett Wilson here and there, but he's covered up pretty well most of the time against the number one cornerback on the team. And then after that, I mean, Allen Lazard is only a red zone guy. So I just think this team is totally dysfunctional. Defense, they can hold it down.
Yep.
But offense, diddly squat.
Yeah, a lot of things they need to fix. I do want to correct one thing, Vincent. They did add multiple offensive linemen in free agency. Bunch of older guys, all pros and Pro Bowlers in their past, but they are a little bit in the age. But they did add veterans into their offensive line. But yes, you are correct, Vince. They are very dysfunctional, and it's the whole offense altogether. From wide receivers not being on the same page, running backs not being explosive, and obviously Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback of the team is not playing up to the standard that he holds himself up to, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed. But the title of this topic is "The Jets Are Beyond Saving." Now, unless you've been living underneath a rock, you don't know this, but in case you didn't, Davante Adams has asked for a trade from the Las Vegas Raiders, and he wants out of there. It's been very much speculated. I feel like almost 90% of the teams in the NFL has been speculated that they are interested in Davante Adams. A lot of that's just a whole bunch of smoke. In my opinion, the Chiefs are a decent situation. Not really because they're in the same division. But other than that, I think the Saints and the Jets are the best chances of him getting traded to because I think they're going to be most interested into it. Because one, Saints, Derek Carr and Davante Adams, they already have that connection. Immediately, plug and play, they should be working out pretty well. Over here in Jets, easy plug and play. Davante Adams played almost his entire career with Aaron Rodgers. And his offensive coordinator when he left the Packers was Nathaniel Hackett. So he already knows Nathaniel Hackett's system. Both of these places are very easy plug and plays for Davante Adams. But my whole point is here, I think at this point with this offense, even though I think dropping Davante Adams into this Jets offense will be a better increase because Garrett Wilson, in my opinion, will become then wide receiver number 2, even though he's probably not going to like that. But I do think Davante Adams will become the wide receiver 1 on that team if he is plug and played, which makes Allen Lazard wide receiver 3, which I think is where he needs to be at for his capabilities, in my opinion. So I do think that helps offense, but I think there's a lot more wrong with this team other than just, they didn't need another wide receiver. There's a lot more wrong with this offense. It starts from Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, Nathaniel Hackett with the play calling, and then obviously Robert Saleh, you're the head coach. You got to take responsibility for your offense. This is your 3rd year being the head coach, and your offense has gotten no better, no matter who you drafted or who you brought in as your veteran. It has not gotten any better. So at this point, as a head coach, you got to take responsibility for that. Davante Adams getting dropped in will definitely help. But if you think it's Super Bowl after that, no, you're completely wrong. Vincent, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I don't think this team has very many options to save themselves. Trading for Davante Adams is probably one of the best ones. But again, I think the only way that this team will get back on track is when Rodgers gets back on track. That's the only way I see this team playing well, just because Nathaniel Hackett and Robert Saleh are in love with this guy. I mean, as soon as they got him, they thought that their careers were going to be saved here. They're going to be Jets for a long time. It's not looking like that, and I don't think that they're ready to accept it. So again, it's all going to be on Rodgers because Robert Saleh, Nathaniel Hackett, they're not going to tell him, hey, you got to step up, buddy. We're doing all we can. It's you. They're not going to say that to him. Nobody's going to say that to Rodgers because once they do, it's not me. It's you. I want to trade. That's what's going to happen. Aaron Rodgers wants to go where he's wanted and where he's praised. So, in my opinion, unless he gets back to his form, the Jets are doomed as long as he's their starter.
All right. There you have it. So we'll see what ends up happening. There's a chance Devontae Adams is not even traded from the Raiders and he just stays there for a little bit longer. But Jets, you guys got to figure out something, and it might not just be getting Devontae Adams. You got to figure out a whole lot more. So we'll see. We'll continue to cover the Jets as this season goes along. But our Nets overreaction is a team that lost, but man, did their offense look so much better this past week. And that's the Colts. And this is my hot take, Vince. I don't know if it's your hot take, but in my opinion, Flacco deserves to start over Anthony Richardson. And it is a no-brainer. I know he's not the whole reason why Joe Flacco doesn't have a starting job in this league is because he is older and he only has another year or two under his belt, most likely, unfortunately, just because of his age getting up there. He's not going to be your franchise guy. But there's no one that can look me in their eyes. I don't care, you Colt fans out there. I don't care who you are out there that can look me in their eyes and be truthful with me and say that Anthony Richardson gives you a better chance to win the game over Joe Flacco. There's no one that can tell me that. Now, you may say, hey, Reed, you're switching up like way more than when we covered Bryce Young's benching 2 weeks ago, and you said, oh, you need to stick out with them, et cetera, et cetera. Anthony Richardson, in my opinion, is playing very much differently, in my opinion, to Bryce Young. Anthony Richardson is playing this wild ball, dumb decision, running everywhere type of gameplay, and I just don't see the gain you get from Anthony Richardson. Yes, he's an incredible athlete. He has a hell of an arm. He can run faster than most corners, etc. He's built like a linebacker. He has all the makings of it, but right now he's not playing well at all. He is still very much a rookie, only playing maybe 9 games at this point in the NFL, and he has not played well at all. I think you let him sit, say, hey, he needs a lot more to learn, let him develop underneath a veteran quarterback like a Joe Flacco, and move forward. And you have a better, I don't know, what's the word, talking to the media about it than what they have done in the Panthers organization, where they said, oh, I don't want Andy Dalton to get hurt out there with our offensive line being down, and I'm just going to throw Bryce Young out there so we can protect Andy. And not throw your young quarterback under the bus. So do it the right way as far as how you sit Anthony Richardson and let him continue to learn and get healthy, because that hip is a serious issue. You don't want that re-aggravating like I think it was the shoulder last year, if I remember correctly. So be smart with it. But right now, let Joe Flacco be the starting quarterback for the Colts. Continue to develop Anthony Richardson because you spent a first-round pick on him. You got to see if he can eventually develop into a guy. But right now, I think Joe Flacco gives you a better chance to win a football game, a way better chance, and continue to develop Anthony Richardson, even though personally I don't think he's going to work out. Vincent, what are your takes on this whole Colts QB drama?
Yeah, so I agree with you with starting Joe Flacco for the time being, right? Of course, Anthony Richardson, I think, currently has a way better situation than what Bryce Young has. Bryce Young has one of the worst offenses, along with one of the worst defenses. The only thing that Anthony Richardson gains from is that his defense on the Colts is actually, mid-tier to good, in my opinion. I have them graded, in the top 15 as of now because they don't let up a lot. They can stuff the run when they have everybody healthy on the D-line, and they get pressure on the quarterback on the opposite side. But Anthony Richardson, he is, he's like the Joker, man. Like when you're playing card games, the Joker comes out and you're like, oh, should I keep this card to play with like this card game that I'm playing? Or should we take the card out of the game because nobody plays with Jokers in poker and all that. So that's Anthony Richardson. He's the Joker of the league right now. I'm not saying that he's a joke, but I'm saying he's one of those wild cards that you just don't know what you're going to get from game to game. So in my opinion, he's made some connections with Alec Pierce, sometimes Josh Downs, but Pittman, their best receiver on the team, in my opinion, is just irrelevant when Anthony Richardson is there. Now, this past game in Week 5, Joe Flacco didn't get to Pittman too often, but he got a touchdown. So that's the high benefit there. Alec Pierce still looks top tier. I think he's going to become a starter long term there, no matter who the quarterback is. Whatever the situation is, he's young. I believe he's 24 years old, and he's got a long way to go in this league, and I think he stays with the Colts for a long time. So that's great for the organization there, but I think he benefits most with Joe Flacco. He's more accurate. He has more of a pocket presence, and he's not trying to do too much. The thing with these rookies like Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson, they don't know when to throw the ball away. They want to make the play because they're mobile. They came into the league from college being these mobile tank, or at least Anthony Richardson, tank type of guys who can just run over whoever they want. But in this league, guys are faster, stronger, and you can't do that. So Anthony Richardson just needs to learn. Yes, last year was basically his rookie season, but as I've been saying this entire season, this is still the continuation of his rookie season because this is only his, I believe, 7th game because he got hurt after his 2nd week of last season in 2023. So now he only has 5 games under his belt this year. That's 7 games under his belt. Joe Flacco, he's in the hundreds of games under his belt, so he knows what he's doing. So I think the Colts need to ride with him at least for the next 5 games. Let Anthony Richardson learn. Let him watch tape on what Joe Flacco's doing. Let him try to emulate a little bit. Get away from his norm of just running the ball and trying to get out of these pesky situations and then toss the ball downfield and hope Alec Pierce is down there. Because that's basically what his game plan is. He just needs to learn more of the cognitive skills of where are my reads at? How long am I holding the ball? When do I need to leave the pocket? Not let me leave the pocket and then see what's on the other side of the field and toss it across the field because I can throw a 60-yard bomb. So in my opinion, Anthony Richardson, I think, could possibly work out for the Colts. I think that's where we kind of disagree there. I think he may be their long-term situation, but I think Joe Flacco needs to pass down some of the OG quarterback type play styles to Anthony Richardson. So hopefully he can do that. But I think the Colts benefit with Joe Flacco teaching as well as starting.
All right. Well, I got a hard hitting question for you here, right, Vince? Okay, and I'm gonna hit you with this question, and just to let you know, just for the viewers who are gonna attack him for his take here, right? He has no time to do any type of research, so yeah, I'm just hitting him. He has no idea what I'm about to ask him. All right. So Colts are currently sitting 2-3 right now. Now, I don't think the Colts are going to make this decision to sit Anthony Richardson, if I'm being honest, and go with Joe Flacco. But let's say if they decide to sit Anthony Richardson and ride with Joe Flacco for the rest of the year without looking at their schedule, without looking strength of schedule, all this type of stuff, what do you think the Colts record would be with Joe Flacco as the starting quarterback for the Colts for the rest of the season would be?
Ooh, that's a tough one because they lost this game, right? So that's
they're 2-3 right now.
Yeah, that's the only thing that stinks about this. But the offense looked totally better, in my opinion. They put up a lot of points. Jaguars just were hungry for a win. They were tired of being, unwinnable, basically. So I think at the end of this, I still think it's a losing season. I think their best record that they could get would be 7-10.
Okay.
If Joe Flacco's a starter. If Anthony Richardson's is a starter, I think their ceiling is 6 wins, but it's not going to be because of him. It's going to be because of the defense and because the running back game is going to be stepping up. Okay. So that's where I think the ceiling is for both those quarterbacks. I don't think this is a winnable season for them. They still need to develop, and they just need more pieces, in my opinion.
All right. I like your take. I would personally put them at like highest 9 wins, just a winning season. But it just depends on, do they get Jonathan Taylor back soon? Do they not? Can this Colts defense play better so they can actually win games, etc.? But yeah, I do think that I agree with you that he does give him a better chance of winning games. All right, so our next topic. This team was... Wow, we were thinking everything, now that everyone's healthy, everything's going to be working out great for this team. They're going to go back to the Super Bowl. etc. We're talking about the Bengals, and my question for everybody here, are the Bengals dead? Now, my take on the whole thing is I think they are in a lot of trouble. That's what I'll say. I'm not going to call them dead yet personally, but I think they're in a lot of trouble. This offense is playing well, in my opinion. They only had the 10-point loss or something like that to the Patriots week 1, where their offense was not clicking at all. And then after that, I think at the top of my head, they've been scoring 25 or more points per game. This offense has been clicking. They've been playing very, very well. Brown and I'm losing the other name of the running back, Moss, have been great running backs for them, a 1-2 duo for the team, and they've been getting him consistent yards. Not a perfect replacement for Joe Mixon, but it's a pretty good replacement. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase are now both healthy, and they went off this past game, both of them getting multiple yards and touchdowns. I think this offense is great. I have no problems and qualms with this offense at all. Now, the defense is the problem with this Bengals team. So they allowed 16 points to the Patriots offense, then 26 to the Chiefs, then 38 to the Commanders, 24 to the Panthers, and then 41 this past week to the Ravens. This team has only the lowest they allowed was 16, and that was to the Patriots offense of all teams. This defense is completely abysmal. Losing Jesse Bates and other guys has been a huge hit for them. And they're just setting this team up for so much failure where it's now the expectation that, hey, guess what, Joe Burrow, even if you go out there and score 38 points this game, you're still going to lose. Guess what? Because that one interception you made in the fourth quarter, that one mistake you made, out of your 5 touchdowns you threw, it's now your fault for it. All right. Now, I do like how Joe Burrow and the rest of the offense have been reacting to it. They've been taking accountability, not just throwing everything at the defense and pointing the finger. In the press conference after the game, Joe Burrow said, hey, we're just not playing like a championship team, not signing anybody. He's just said, hey, we need to be better as a team altogether. When Jamar Chase was asked in the locker room, hey, what went wrong, etc., he said, I ran a terrible route for Joe Burrow. And I think he was talking about the last drive or last play. He ran a crappy route. He said a little bit of explicit word there, but he said he ran a crappy route. So I like how they're reacting to it. It's just this defense is never going to let them succeed. Never. It's not giving them a fighting chance at all. That's why I think the Bengals are in serious trouble. I think they are getting very, very close to dead. Even though this offense is incredible, they just can't get out in front of teams, and they're always playing from behind. Vincent, you're a guy who does not like Jamar Chase, but I don't know how you feel like the whole Bengals organization in total. What is your opinion as the Bengals are now 1-4 this to start the season?
Yeah, man, this one's going to be a sneak peek for my next video of me doing my power rankings. Even though the Bengals lost, I have them moving up.
Wow.
That's a for sure. This offense is spectacular. I have to eat my words a little bit. Jamar Chase has been going off, both in fantasy and in real life. So right now, this guy over here and Jamar Chase are clicking on all cylinders. T. Higgins is getting his as well. So that's another addition that's working out. But the running game can be a little bit better, in my opinion. They do miss Mixon, as you would if you lost a guy like that. But in my opinion, yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly here. This defense is horrendous. Yes, they played up against one of the best teams in the league, the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. They were just slinging the ball. I mean, before, pass game was horrendous with Baltimore, and it was all run game. Now it was pretty even. So run game was good, pass game was good. So basically, the Bengals they let up a lot on defense. But so did the defense for the Ravens. And I'm not too sure if that's because the Ravens just had an off game or the Bengals are just that good. So I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the Bengals. They're moving up my power rankings. I think the season is mostly lost. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They would have to go on a spectacular run, and their defense would have to get something going, which I don't think I'll be betting on for the next few games at least. But when you start 1-4, it's not good. I think the percentage of you making the playoffs is like probably less than 2%. It's probably lower. So that stinks for Bengals fans. But I think this is a good time for them to, look in the mirror, say, hey, we need to get a lot of defensive guys, and we need to draft a star running back. So whatever pick they get, they could be in line to get someone great on the defensive line. They could be in line to get an amazing linebacker in this next draft in the first round, second round, wherever they get one. But I think their offense is set. The only piece I think they really need right now is just running back and maybe some help on the offensive line. They always neglect it. This past year, they got a couple guys. So that's good for them. But I think this is another year to neglect it because this offense is still clicking even with not the best line in football. So I think the season's done, but I think the future's bright for the Bengals.
Okay. We'll have to see because they are going to have to pay Jamar Chase next year, and that means even less cap space for them to spend on their defense.
Hey,
but I got their next 3 games. They play the Giants, Nets, then the Browns, then the Eagles. In my opinion, the only for sure win there is the Browns because that team is horrible. Yeah. But I think the Giants, after the Giants beating the Seahawks, sorry, Vincent, I think the Giants have a good chance of beating the Bengals, and I think the Eagles will beat the Bengals, in my opinion. It's going to be tough sledding for this team. Joe Burrow, all I got to say is you got to be perfect, man. You got to be perfect.
Yes, you. He had a pretty almost perfect game today, so I think he can get there.
Got to be more perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next up, we are going to move into a division talk. And my question, and I'll leave it up to you first, Vincent, because this is my division. Who wins the NFC North? And the reason why I'm bringing up the NFC North right now is currently this is the only division out of all 8 divisions that every single team has a winning record. Vikings just went up to 5-0. Lions have a bye this week, but they would still have a winning record. They're 3-1 right now. Bears 3-2, just coming off a win, a two-win streak actually, and Packers just got a win against the Rams. So this whole division is looking pretty good top to bottom. Obviously, the surprising one is the Vikings. No one thought it was going to be 5-0 at the start at this early. Lions, we always thought they were going to be up there. Bears, surprising that they were 3-2, but we knew the defense was good. And Packers, a little bit of slow starts, but we're 3-2. Vincent, what are your thoughts?
Cool, man. So I'm going to talk about these teams going from the bottom up. And really, it's not really even the bottom,
Yeah.
Like, all these teams are just like right here, except for the Vikings. Vikings are up here. But the Lions, Bears, and Packers are all like right here for me, basically. So I'm just going to talk about the Packers because they're on the bottom of the list for this picture. Packers getting stuff offensively going pretty functionally, right? I feel like this past game wasn't their best offensive game. Jordan Love did throw an interception. They did get a couple of touchdowns. Yeah. So it was a little bit, there's stuff to clean up on both sides of the ball, right? The defense played well, but the Rams are also not a very high-powered offensive team at this point in time. And then the Packers offense played, good to well, in my opinion. But there's still a lot of stuff to fix. So I think the ceiling is high for y'all. I think y'all's schedule is, pretty decent. It's not the most favorable, but nobody on this list has a favorable schedule. So I'll move to the Bears. I think the Bears are starting to click on offense. I think they're getting it going. DJ Moore is finally a factor. Odunze, I still think they could utilize him a little bit more. And then Keenan Allen, I mean, we'll see what happens whenever he gets going as well. But DeAndre Swift, that run game is doing well. So I think that's what helps Caleb Williams. Now that the pressure's off of him, they're getting a little bit more manageable. They're downs because of the run game. Johnson and Swift are just doing a much better job. The O-line is doing a much better job. The defense keep stepping up. So the Bears had a big win this week. Love to see it. The Lions bye week. I mean, we saw what they did to Seattle. We didn't play our best game that week. Didn't play our best game this week either. But I think the Lions are just, a threat. They have one of the best offenses, the best running back duo in the league, in my opinion. So I think they're set for playoff run for sure. As long as that team stays healthy, the defense could be mediocre, mid, whatever word you want to use. And I think they still keep winning games. The Vikings, that defense is good. I mean, they're getting stops regardless of who they play. Of course, they haven't had the toughest schedule that you could face, but they've faced some tough teams that are still trying to get stuff going. The 49ers, the Jets, those are the two notable teams, in my opinion, that I think they've beaten that maybe if that team was going, they might not have beaten. So I think the Vikings are just a little bit above everybody else right now just because of their record, not so much on the play that they had. But the defense really holds them in. And of course, the offense is looking, I think, in my opinion, spectacular. They get stuff going when they need to. They get drives when they need to. They have a great field goal kicker, in my opinion, right now, who's just doing well. So, in my opinion, everything's just going well for them and this entire division right now. So, I think this division is going to be great. I think this is going to be a year where 3 teams in this division go in, because right now the NFC is like 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 2-3, 2-3, like so many teams there. So this is a year where everybody could fight to get in, and it's going to be a crazy one.
Okay, but who wins the division?
I think the Lions win the division.
Okay.
I think when it's all said and done, I think the Lions are the best pick for me right now.
All right. So my take on the whole division, I'll go same order. Vincent went. Packers, we're finding our stride. This defensive side, still a lot to figure it out. Jeff Hafley he sold us on an idea. He has not brought the idea and actually done the idea yet. But we're not getting pressure on the quarterback at all. We are getting takeaways. Xavier McKinney, 5 for 5 now. Keep it rolling. Pretty incredible. And then offensively, wide receivers are down right now. Christian Watson is actually hurt. Dobbs, don't know what the heck's going on there. Not going to speak too much about it because it's all hearsay at this point, but he did get suspended for a game. Hopefully he comes back and everything's fine again. But Jordan Love makes mistakes here and there, but he stays poised and he's going to fight back after that. After that interception, pick 6, which was not a very smart decision he made there. Should have just taken the safety instead of trying whatever. But he went 9 for 9 after that, throwing 2 touchdowns. Immediately responded from that mistake. So I have all the trust in the world with this Packers offense and this team. I do think we will continue to get the wins stacking here as the weeks go by. Bears, very surprised, honestly. 3-2. Caleb Williams has looked like in the past 3 games now, he's getting more and more comfortable. His stat line this week, 20 for 29, 304 yards and 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Connected heavily with DJ Moore this game, which is the guy that you want to be connecting because he's going to be your guy for the future 100%. As he is locked down for the future. I'm honestly impressed. We knew the Bears defense was going to be insanely good, which they have been, and this offense is looking like they can actually keep up with other offenses in the league, and defense will keep them in games. They can honestly win a good amount of games. So honestly, I no longer think they're like win areas like 6 or 7. They're definitely in the higher ranges, potentially even, in my opinion, having a winning record this season, which is crazy. Lions. We knew who the Lions are going to be. Surprised that they lost to the Bucks, in my opinion. I believe that's who they lost to, if I remember correctly. Yes. But this team is great. They're going to win multiple games. Dan Campbell is Dan Campbell. Ben Johnson is an incredible offensive-minded offensive coordinator. I think they're going to win this division, in my opinion. Vikings, I stand fully corrected. You guys are legit, all right? Defense is very well coached. I don't think you have, in my opinion, incredible players. I think it's the scheme and the players fitting the scheme and buying in on the scheme. Stephon Gilmore, you've kind of revived his career at this point, where he didn't look in like bad the past couple of years, but he's looking like a top corner again in this new defense. Yeah, Brian Flores is a good defensive coach, and I think he's going to be a candidate for a head coach this next year, for sure. Offensively, Aaron Jones going down, that's something you should be worried about. When Aaron Jones went down for the Packers last year, that's when we started playing badly because no one respected the run anymore. We didn't have a guy that could step in. Once we started playing better, that's when running game came back in and Aaron Jones came back in. Aaron Jones may be that for you, Vikings. We'll have to see. When he went down, that's when your offense started to slow down a little bit. We'll have to see. Hopefully, I believe it's Chandler behind Aaron Jones. Can it be step in for him and play for him if Aaron Jones is out for multiple weeks? But we'll have to see. But Sam Darnold playing incredible. He's got great wide receivers. I have to be honest. When Sam Darnold went down, I was like, that sucks for Sam Darnold. Like I'm a Sam Darnold fan. I want to hate him, but I'm very happy for him with how he's been able to turn around his career at this point. These past 5 games. But I was like, this is the only way we catch up to the Vikings at this point if Sam Darnold goes down. That's just me being honest. Didn't wish for it. Was happy that he went back in, but I was like, this is our chance. So I think at this point, where how the season's going, unless the Vikings really falter here in the next few weeks, end of season, I think it's going to go Lions, Vikings, Packers, Bears. That's where I see the division going. Hopefully Packers are like the 6th or 7th wild card and everybody's slip in there. We'll have to see, but I do think Lions, Vikings, and Packers make the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. I think that's kind of how this will shake out.
For sure. We'll have to see. This is definitely a division to keep your eyes on, in my opinion, because definitely 2 will make it into the playoffs. Very much a 3rd will slip in there, I think. But we'll just have to see how the season goes. It's going to be an exciting one. Thank you guys for tuning in to another Overreaction Monday. It's been great. As I said at the beginning of this video, go to the comments. Tell us how we're wrong. Viking fans, if you're here again, attack me in the comments again. Tell me I'm wrong or whatever. Tell me you're going to win the division. I would love to hear it. This time, maybe hit the subscribe button. And all of you guys that are coming into the comments, hit the subscribe button so you continue to react to our videos and tell us how wrong we are. But appreciate everybody who's tuning in. Hit the like on the video. And until next time, keep on grinding.